because that's not who you are. It's not just who you are. So what I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to stop so we can have as many questions as we have time for, because that's real fun, because you never know what's going to happen next. Not that I know what's going to happen next anyway, really. What I want to share with you is, at the root of all of this investigation of this mystery of life, I hear this perennial message from some amazing men and women, some of whom appear to be mad, some all strange, interesting, quirky people. And it makes me realize that this is not to do with religion, which just divides us. It's not really even to do with spirituality. Really? You know, I mean, I've had periods of my life where, you know, it's been spiritual, and I've treated my body like a temple. But, you know, hey, sometimes I want to treat my body like a nightclub. And with this I can. because what it's saying is, look, what I am, what we are, is this one awareness coming to consciousness of itself through this dream of waking up. That's what this is. That's what's happening. One thing has become conscious by appearing to be many things. Because when it's just one thing, it's unconscious. Because there's nothing to be conscious of. We go there every night. You're going to go there tonight. People say to me sometimes, Tim, I want to be one with everything. I say, go to sleep. And you'll be one with everything. It's not what you actually want. What you actually want is to be consciously one with everything. And consciousness is predicated on polarity. Subject, object. Experiencer, experiences. What arises when you wake up from deep sleep in the morning is two-ness. And that's consciousness. Or manyness, whatever you want to call that. So we're doing this, it seems to me, because without the manyness, there's nothing. There's just the unconscious oneness. But through this manyness, we can become conscious that in reality, we are all one as well. And that's love. And that's what redeems this process and allows us to transform it from a nightmare of separateness into the joyous celebration of existence everybody, it seems to me, really wants it to be. And I think that's what I wanted to say to you. Thank you for listening so attentively.
Questions?
We use this one. Okay.
I'll come down the center so we can, we'll be using the one mic. Have some questions, please. Right here.
Yeah. I'm Lena, I'm from Denmark.
Sorry, what was your name?
Lena, I'm from Denmark.
Hi.
And I was really wondering, because you said we write the I as a one. How does that explain that in Denmark, I as a one means you, the people you are with?
Yeah, well, that's the exception, which proves the rule. No, to make no mistake, let's just play. I mean, the fact that we write it this way, that means nothing. We should never use those sort of things as arguments which can show you anything. That's just a quirky little funny thing. And the funny thing about the I is it's kind of like a doorway between our separateness and our not separateness. So, you know, the I looking outwards is it's Tim, I am Tim. But if it turns back on itself, if I turn attention back through that, that's when there's one I. So you will hear a lot of people go, the I is the problem. I mean, the word ego means the I. It'll be used like that. So one has to be very careful with the words, and you're good to point out that one should never take those sort of comments too seriously. That's true.
Yes, I'm Johannes from Holland. Hello. I had a question. What happens if there's no experiencer anymore and just experience, in your opinion?
Okay, I think, people talk about this in different ways, but I would say that when there's experiences, there's an experiencer. And when there's neither, the two arise together, and they arise every day. They arise. And what happens with this state I'm calling lucid living, you could say, well, there's just the experiences. But really what's happening is that the awareness, it's the seer and the seen are becoming one. You see, if you see that there's just this emptiness right now, if you are that emptiness, be it right now, and within it there's this flow of appearances, if you can get that, then it's only a breath away to go, so what's the difference between the experiencer and what it's experiencing? What's the difference between a dreamer and the dream, actually? It's a conceptual difference. And then suddenly there's just this flow in which you are a separate person apparently, and you're holding it all within you, and there's no separateness. And yet within the appearances, of course, there is. So it's both at once. It's both and, not either or. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's both. Yeah? It's you hear it in Eckhart, Meister Eckhart, the seer and the seen are one, the dreamer and the dream are one, that what's experiencing this and what it's experiencing is the same thing. So look at it one way, there's an experiencer and experiences. Look at it another way, and it just is. Because how can you divide them?
Hi, I'm Will. I loved your talk. If we combine what you're talking about, all of us being one, which I believe, and Elizabeth's talking earlier about a multi-celled organism organizing itself efficiently, and presuming that would be a good thing for all 6 billion of us to organize ourselves efficiently, do you believe a form of communication is needed for that organization? And if so, what would be the most efficient method of communication? If you have an answer for that.
Whoa. Yes. How do we do it? How do we do it? I mean, I've loved the way that, what I've concentrated on with you here is, what happens if we come right in this moment and come out through it and realize that it's all in us. And that seems to me absolutely key to transforming it. And then, but that's not the end, it's endless. You can then go, okay, so now if you start getting that, so what's the dream? Well, the dream seems to be one in which we're waking up. And then you can see this whole evolutionary story, myth, whatever you want to call it. I find it quite attractive because it speaks to it. And everything in the dream seems to speak about the nature of this oneness and manyness, which we can actually experience, not as a theory, but directly experience. But you can only do that in the moment. That's the gnosis. But if you get that, you get, well, we've had this story that it all came from what? The singularity. The one. And what can you say about the singularity? I read a lovely passage from one writer whose name is on the tip of my tongue, but it's gone, it may come up, who was going, well, what you can know about the singularity is that it contains the potential for everything. It's the plenum, it's the possibilities, it's the pleroma.